Today I'm behind the wheel of a brand new 2021 Acura TLX, and the TLX gets a major redesign for this year. The outside looks stunning, so does the inside. There's also a brand new chassis, new suspension setup, new powertrain, and there's a whole lot more features. But how does the TLX drive? And how does it compare to its corporate cousin, the Honda Accord, which is my favorite sedan of all time? Well, keep watching and find out. Now, before I go for a drive, let me tell you a little bit about the redesigned exterior and interior and tell you about some of the features that you'll find in this brand new TLX. So first, let's look at the outside. Acura said they spent an enormous amount of time designing the exterior to make it look sleeker, sportier, bolder than the competition, and I think they've succeeded. The TLX is a stunning looking sedan from all angles, from all sides. It doesn't matter where you're looking at. This is an absolutely gorgeous sedan. Starting with the front end, you could see that very big and bold grille resembles the one that you see on the RDX. And then moving to those sleek looking headlights, full LED, and you can see those unique looking daytime running lights which pop out even in the daylight. Now, besides the sleek looking headlights, you also get LED fog lights. You have good looking bumper up front, and look at this long, massive hood. Very pronounced, very long. It's sloping down, but you could definitely see the lines on top. Now, moving to the side, you can tell the TLX looks very unique, and that's because the cab is more rearwards than forwards. And Acura did this on purpose to improve handling, but you can definitely see the long hood up front, and you can see the overall cabin sitting more on top of the rear wheels than the front wheels. And the TLX sits low to the ground with a low roof, and you have big 19-inch wheels that you see here with the advanced package. Otherwise standard, you get 18-inch alloy wheels. Now, moving to the rear, this TLX really stands out, especially with the rear wheel haunches, which stick out quite a bit on both sides. It makes the TLX look very, very wide from the rear, also very low. And those unique looking LED taillights, very, very sleek. And let's not forget about those chrome finishers on the bottom, massive, you can't miss it. So like I said, the outside of the TLX is stunning. Doesn't matter which angle, which side, this is one gorgeous looking sedan. Now, moving to the updated cabin, very luxurious, very stylish, and I think this is a big, big upgrade versus the last generation. Now, starting with the steering wheel, it's a modern looking steering wheel, has the right thickness, it feels good overall. The steering wheel is a bit busy though. There's a lot of buttons and scroll wheels and toggle switches. So there's a lot on the right side to control your safety features. And then on the left side, you have one button for your heated steering wheel, which comes with the advanced package. And you have buttons and scrolling for your media and also to control the large 7-inch screen inside the gauge cluster. Now, looking at that screen, it's pretty massive, and there's a ton of menu items. Everything from trip computer to fuel economy to a safety system to settings. There's a lot that you can scroll through. And you also have 2 analog gauges. There's also a couple dedicated buttons on the left side, which is nice so that you could adjust your heads-up display up or down. You also get this very large and beautiful infotainment system. The screen, however, is not touch. It is also sitting way back in the dash, which makes it a little bit harder to see. I wish Acura would move that up slightly, but it is controlled through Acura's touchpad setup. Now, it's divided into 2 because the screen actually is divided into 2. On your main side, which is like a 70-30 split, so 70% of it, you can control things like your navigation, your settings, your audio, stuff like that. But on the right side, you can also control it too to show various things like navigation and radio and so forth. You do have some quick navigating buttons as home and back, and next to it you do have a volume knob, which is nice. Different location, but it's there, and also scrolling left and right next to it. Now, underneath the infotainment system, pretty standard. You have climate control, dual zone climate control with the usual functions. Also, with this advanced package, you do get heated and ventilated front seats, both sides. That's nice. And underneath that, you can't miss it. There's a big metal or aluminum rotary knob that controls your driving mode. So there's sport, normal, and comfort, but also individual. So if you wanted to adjust it yourself, let's say you want to adjust the suspension to be sport, but your steering to be comfort, you could do that. Underneath, you do have some push button shifting, and next to that, you have your engine auto start stop button. There's a dedicated button for that and a brake hold. Now, the advanced package also gives you a wireless charger that you see here, and on top, you do get HomeLink buttons and a regular sunroof. Now, as for the rest of this cabin, because this is the advanced package, you get all the luxurious things, such as the wood trim in here. That's actually real wood, and it looks and feels pretty good. Also, the seats are covered in perforated Milano premium leather with contrast stitching and piping. They definitely look very, very nice. I do feel very bolstered even sitting here right now, and I'll tell you how it is once I start driving. Now, as for space, in the second row, that's where it's a little disappointing. I'm 5'10", and you can see that I barely have an inch of legroom left, and about the same with headroom. So one thing that TLX does not excel at is second row room. Now, as for the trunk space, it's okay. It's about average, and you can fold down the seats to generate more cargo room, and you do get a spare tire underneath as well. As for space up front, pretty good. Much better than the second row. I feel like there's plenty of headroom, shoulder room, hip room is all good, so no complaints about space up here. All right, I'm off. Let's see how good this brand new TLX is on the road and see how it drives. First, let me talk about the size of this TLX when you first approach it and when you first get in. Because when you approach it, it does look like a pretty big sedan. But when you get on the inside, you realize it's not that big. It's not that big, especially in the second row. So it is deceiving, like, what class this is and who it competes with. Because if you compete with, let's say, a Lexus IS, this is much bigger. But if you're competing with, let's say, a BMW 5 Series, this is much smaller. So I mentioned about comparing this to its corporate cousin, the Honda Accord. One of the things I love about the Honda Accord is how spacious it is inside. Even though that is categorized as a midsize sedan, it's more like a full-size sedan. Up front, you just feel so airy, so big. Same thing with the rear. The rear of the Honda Accord, behind my driving position, I have a good like 6 to 8 inches of legroom. Back here, about 1 inch. There's a big difference. And if you look at the physical dimensions of the TLX, it's only about 2.5 inches shorter than a Honda Accord, but the wheelbase is actually longer. It's also wider. So you would think that the space is comparable, but it's not. So I would say the size inside is a little bit disappointing, especially when this TLX looks enormous on the outside. For this class, I gotta say, this TLX is probably the best looking sedan out there. In terms of the luxury sedans out there, whether you look at compact luxury sedans or mid-size luxury sedans, I think this hands down wins based on looks. Now, this advanced package does add on adaptive dampers, which is nice because it adjusts to the road, and it makes the ride a little bit softer when you want it and a little bit more tight when you want it too. And right now, I have the TLX set in comfort mode. I just want to see how it is, and the suspension is doing a really good job. It is. It's soaking up all the bumps, and it's providing a nice soft ride. It's not as soft. It's not like those sedans where it feels like you're riding on top of a cloud. It's not like that. But I can definitely tell it's soaking up all these little bumps and dips very, very nicely in a controlled manner. So the suspension in here is fantastic. As for the steering in comfort mode, it's pretty good too. There's a nice soft weight to it. As for play, there's some steering play, but there's something about it. It doesn't feel very artificial. Feels like I'm in control of the TLX, which is nice. And even in comfort mode, it's soft, but not too soft. And I do like that. And I've already showed you guys the steering wheel. This steering wheel is fantastic in terms of the grip, the thickness. It feels really, really nice. So the steering isn't too bad. And I'm going to test out sport mode with the steering and suspension a little bit, but I just want to drive around and get a feel for this TLX right now in comfort mode. Now, remember I talked about revised suspension, right? The new chassis. Acura wants to make the TLX more sport-oriented. You'll have a better feel driving around corners and bends and even on a track. But right now, I'm taking a pretty big bend, and it does feel pretty good. I mean, this is not on a track. I'm not racing it, but you know what? I feel like minimal body roll, and things are predictable, and it feels pretty good right now. Now, as for these seats, man, they look beautiful. Now, this is part of the advanced package / technology package, because basically, if you opt for the advanced package, you have to get the technology package. So I forget which one actually includes these seats, but these seats are covered in perforated Milano leather, and they definitely look nice. They're almost like white, but with a little bit of tan to them, and they contrast really, really well with the rest of the dash and cabin. They feel good too. They are aggressive, however. The back bolster is very, very aggressive. However, I still feel like they're good. They're holding me in. So my back is stretching them out to its limits. Like if you're on a bigger side, you got a big back, they might not feel that comfortable. For me, it works. It works. And I definitely feel them hugging me. So if I'm taking a sharp corner, I'm not flying around in my seat. And the bottom cushion is also nice too. Very, very comfortable. So I like that. I like that a lot. All right. So I just put this TLX in sport mode. Let's see how acceleration is. Okay, not bad, not bad. So I just accelerated from about 15 to 60 miles per hour. There's a lot of exhaust note. I don't know if it's piped in, if it's fake, but there's actually a lot. It doesn't sound like a V8, but it doesn't sound too bad either. Now, the powertrain, you have a 2-liter turbocharged engine, and it's producing about 272 pound-feet of torque. Unfortunately, though, 0 to 60 is not faster than a Honda Accord, and that's because this one I'm driving with the super handling all-wheel drive weighs more than 600 pounds. So even though, yes, it has 20 more additional horses, that weight just bogs this TLX down. It's not slow by any means. It's still a very spirited acceleration, but 0 to 60 comes in around 6 seconds, a little bit under 6 seconds. Now, if you wanted more power, Acura is working on the Type S, the Type S TLX that will come out later this year, and that's producing like 350 plus horsepower. So if you wanted more grunt, you can opt for that. This one isn't too bad, but it's, you know, I kind of expect it to be a little bit faster. Now, I mentioned about a super handling all-wheel drive. That is something that you cannot get with a Honda Accord. You can get it with this TLX, and that's great for those of you guys that live in areas that do get snow or rains quite a bit, right? All-wheel drive definitely makes a big difference, and it's called super handling all-wheel drive because there is torque vectoring, and this was upgraded from the last model, so it does a better job at diverting power side to side and front to rear. So basically, it'll just do its thing. Now, as I'm coming to a stop, it feels good. The brake pedal is good. It's normal, just a tad stiff, but overall, it's a really good feeling. And the TLX comes to a stop, has a good linear feel, no surprises. So brakes overall, pretty good. Okay, now I adjusted the TLX to sport mode, and it does just a lot of things. It does just a lot of things. First of all, I feel the steering get a lot heavier. So normally sport mode is just for throttle, but no, the steering got a lot heavier, and it feels pretty good. Now, the precision didn't really change, but it does feel a lot heavier. The throttle, I can feel it, a lot more aggressive. It holds the gears much longer, meaning our revs is a lot higher. Like right now, it should have downshift or upshifted, but it didn't, right? So yeah, it definitely makes it more spirited when you're driving or accelerating. As for visibility, it's good. I do feel like I'm sitting a little bit lower in the cabin, so there's a snugness to this cabin, but overall, front windshield is great. Side windows are good. The mirrors are nice and close. Auto dimming too. And blind spot isn't bad, and rear visibility isn't bad. The 3 headrests cut into the rear visibility slightly, but overall pretty good. As for cabin noise, also very good. With the exception of the engine is actually quite loud for some reason. Whenever you accelerate, you hear it quite a bit. Outside the engine, it is very quiet. Nothing from the outside, like really, really dead quiet from the outside. No wind noise. Cars passing by, very, very muted, because with this advanced package, you also get acoustic glass on the side. But yeah, overall, it's very, very quiet in here, with the exception of the engine. Now, there are a few nitpicks I want to talk about. I already talked about the cramped second row. That's fine. But something else I noticed is there's no USB ports. I mean, very, very little. There's none in the back, not one. And I'm surprised. There's no 12 YALA, no USB ports of any kind. Up front, too, there's no visible USB ports. You get 2 inside the armrest, and that's it. And 1 is taken up. So there's not a lot of USB ports in here for some reason. Also, another nitpick is the rear camera system and a 360 view camera system. You do get a 360 view camera system with this advanced package. So when you go into reverse, yeah, you could see both behind you and around you. But it's only utilizing that 70% space I talked about. Because the screen is divided into 2, I guess, they couldn't stitch it. So you're not getting the full view. And because the screen is so far away from you, and it's only using 70% of that screen, and out of that 70%, 50% of that is for the rear and 25% is for the 360, it's really small. You don't really see much from there. So that's another thing I have to point out. I wish they just utilized the whole screen. That's it. That would be a simple fix, but that's not the case. So next up, let me talk about pricing and also sum up the good and bad to this brand new TLX. As for pricing, the TLX starts right under $40,000. There are no trim levels, just packages. The tech package is $4,000. The a-spec package is $2,750, but requires the tech package. And the advanced package is $4,800 and also requires the tech package. The TLX I'm driving today comes in a tad over $48,000. To conclude, the 2021 Acura TLX is a big upgrade over the last generation. The exterior look is simply stunning and among the best for this class. The cabin has been greatly upgraded and the materials, fit and finish are top notch. The TLX provides a quiet and comfortable drive with different driving modes. The seats are very comfortable yet sporty, and adaptive suspension adapts to the road nicely. The powertrain is above average and a super handling all-wheel drive is available. The bad to the TLX include the cramped second row seats, lack of USB ports, touchpad setup that takes a bit getting used to, and a key fob that's much larger than it needs to be. I'm giving the brand new 2021 Acura TLX a score of 98. To see where it ranks, check out driversonlyrankings.com. Thanks for watching, hit the like and subscribe to the channel, and check out these 2 other videos.